Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm the Mellow Mama, and today I'm going to be talking all about nonviolent communication, which is just a style of communication and really a philosophy on bringing more consciousness to our interactions with ourselves and others by applying more empathy, understanding, and compassion behind the words and actions that we take. Nonviolent communication was created by a psychologist named Dr. Marshal Rosenberg, and I highly recommend you check out all of his writing. Unfortunately, he's passed away, but he did so much incredible work, not just in book form, but he has DVD lectures, and you can find his lectures on YouTube where he uses puppets, and he was just a hilarious, truly compassionate individual that I wish I could have met. If you're new to my channel, welcome, what's up? I'm Kate, and I talk all things conscious living and conscious, respectful parenting with the help of lots of great books like the ones that I'm going to refer to today, along with blogs, websites, and of course my own experience as a mom. I always talk about conscious living, how I want everybody to live a more conscious existence. And what I mean by that is simply understanding the fact that we always have a choice. Everything that we do, we have a choice whether we do it or not. It's a subconscious or conscious choice that we can make, but I like to bring awareness to what we're doing and why. Who are we? How are we shaping our lives? What choices are we making? And how do we feel and think about them? And why? Just always really bringing a mindful approach to our everyday words and actions. That's why Dr. Rosenberg's book was just so relevant. And I have to say, while we're on that subject of relevance, that when reviewing my videos lately, I've noticed that, of course, the top priority of my channel seems to be helping parents connect to their children. But in actuality, it's helping anybody connect to anybody, whether that's your spouse, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, your sister, your old friend from high school, a stranger on the street, somebody that you just decided to form a business partnership with, you name it. Of course, I have a heavy focus on parenting because I feel that people have created a strange false reality around childhood in which we feel like we can't connect to our kids. However, this book in particular, along with pretty much any of the books that I touch on, are just beneficial for anybody that's wanting to just connect in a deeper, more intimate way to the world and the people around them, including themselves. The why behind what we do and how we think about what we do is often rooted in behaviorism, how we've been conditioned pretty much from childhood, especially if you've been in a public education system here in the United States like I have, where behavior is rewarded or punished. It's labeled good or bad, and those labels stay forever, and they allow us to do some pretty bad things, because as long as you're on the good side, you can do or say whatever you want to the opposing side, the bad side. This damns us from the start. This is what gets us into a lot of trouble, these labels, and positioning ourselves as right or wrong, and allowing ourselves to dehumanize the person that is wrong in our eyes. Anything that we do... Hold on.
Did you sign for a second today?
Sure, yes, please. Thank you.
I'm at the right place.
Hey, actually, you know, I have a question for you.
Sure, what's that?
Somebody gave me this package, but it doesn't belong to me. I think it's my neighbor's.
Is what this one says?
Yes.
Okay, it's a short post, we'll probably
So
want to.
everything's in there, it just needs taped again.
Yeah, I got some tape in the truck.
Perfect.
And last name is?
Zach.
Actually, that has your name on it.
Oh, perfect. Wonderful.
Thank you, Miss
Have a
Zach.
great day.
You too.
Where was I? Anything you do in hope of getting a reward, everyone pays for. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. And actually, you know what? I'm going to just address that right now, because a lot of people think, what do you mean? The reason we pay for something like that, a decision based on the hope of getting something in return, is because it's insincere. It's not congruent with the fact that we do have what Dr. Rosenberg would refer to as this innate nature of compassion, of empathy, of understanding the other. It draws us further and further away from that because it's rooted in the fact that we think that we can't do things from a sincere, genuine place. Like, we have to be rewarded, or we have to be expecting a reward to do something good and kind for another person, or for ourselves even. And it's because of that that he says we pay for that. And it's true. It's been proven scientifically over and over again that a child that is rewarded for their behavior only does the specific behavior when they're being watched, but they do it significantly less when nobody's looking. The study that I'm referring to is particularly geared towards sharing, not sharing or sharing. And when kids share, they're rewarded, whether it's like with a clap or approval or praise from their parent, and when they're not. So the kids that weren't rewarded share significantly more just because they understand that it feels good to share. It's nice. Anyway, small tangent over. Anything that we do in hopes of getting reward, we all pay for. Anything we do because we want people to like us, to appreciate us, because we feel we're obligated, we have no choice, we have to do it, we pay for. What we do out of sincerity, out of the joy of giving, out of our innate nature to give. I'm sure if you're watching this, there's been a time where you gave without expectations. You didn't want anything in return. You weren't doing it because somebody told you to, or somebody was watching you, or anything. You just wanted to be kind to another person in whatever way. Think of a time. And think how good that made you feel. That's because it is in our nature. And I know that people like to say all the time that people are innately bad, but I truly don't believe that, especially because with this way of thinking and with the way of thinking in so many of the books that are based on empathy and understanding, you can so quickly get to the root of why people do bad things or what we would label as bad. It's truly always coming from a place of like pain or discomfort or confusion, trauma, all kinds of things that could really be healed and repaired if we decided to take this approach of not labeling that person, diagnosing them, judging them, but trying to understand them, trying to understand what needs they have. So let's get into how to actually do that. Nonviolent communication focuses on that, the fact that we're designed to enjoy giving, and we are not designed to take things personally, get defensive, and be in attack mode all the time, nor are we designed to be controlled by anybody else or by extrinsic controls like bribery, manipulation, force, coercion. Nonviolent communication allows us to bring awareness to our interactions in a way that stops us from taking things personally and having these instinctive reactions, these emotional reactions, as opposed to something that's rational, that is really thought over and kind of digested. It allows us to really stop listening for what we are going to say next in our own minds, as far as like, how am I going to defend myself and my ego and my insecurities and all this stuff. And once again, a lot of that is on the subconscious level. But how to listen truly to the other person and what they need. What needs do they have that are not being met? So the core of this philosophy is to get back to our compassionate nature by removing patterns of defending, withdrawing, and attacking in the face of judgment or criticism. Really just general tension, I suppose, in any interaction. And by doing that, we will start to perceive ourselves and our relationships in a new light, in a healthy light, in my opinion. So rather than judging and diagnosing in those moments, we're going to focus on observing what's happening, what's being felt, and what needs are not being met. It's as simple as that. And when I say it's as simple as that, I do not mean that it's an easy thing. It has to be practiced. It's something that, once again, we, along with learning this kind of tool, we have to unlearn years and years of behaviors, tactics, and egos. But it's so worth it to access the depth of your compassion, the depth of your understanding for another person. This book is just so full. You're really going to enjoy reading the poems, the excerpts, the stories. There's this beautiful journal entry in the very beginning from a woman in a concentration camp. And if you can just fathom that somebody in her circumstance felt for somebody that was inflicting so much harm and brutality, and wow, I mean, it's insane what we as human beings are capable when we can practice something like this that is rooted in love and empathy and what I believe are our truest strengths as people. When we listen deeply to ourselves and our needs, why am I feeling what I'm feeling? What need is not met right now? What's causing this unrest, this tension, this discomfort in me? And listening for the same thing in another person fosters respect, attentiveness, and this genuine desire to give from the heart. This is more than a language, but rather a tool A constant reminder to be listening for other people's needs and your own needs. That in of itself to me is consciousness. That is awareness. So the actual strategy of nonviolent communication is as follows. Oh, hey honey. Step 1 to nonviolent communication would be to observe what is somebody saying or doing that is not enriching your life, in the words of Dr. Rosenberg. Before we do or say anything, we first have to question, is this going to enrich the other person's life or my own? And when we're in an uncomfortable interaction or somebody's making us uncomfortable from whatever they're doing or saying, we have to ask, okay, what is it that they're actually doing that's bothering me, without labeling them, judging them, diagnosing them. If you've watched any of my Rye parenting style videos or me on Instagram, you might have heard me use the expression sportscasting. And this is a very similar idea in my opinion. I think we're just observing, not evaluating the other person as wrong or right, just simply saying what's happening. I personally already feel a release of tension when I start to change my perspective and shift my thinking to this. The second step is to state how we feel when we observe that action, whatever the person's doing or saying. How is that making us feel? Are we scared? Are we intimidated? Are we offended? Are we feeling amused maybe? Joy? What are we feeling? The third step, Donovan, don't touch that. Hey honey, please don't touch that, okay? Here's an example right now, okay? Donovan, I see you're touching the tripod. Yes, when you touch the tripod, it makes me feel irritated because I'm trying to record my video. Yes, thank you. I would really appreciate it if you wouldn't touch that. Step is to say what needs of ours are connected to whatever feelings we identified. Donovan is currently touching the tripod. He moves it around pretty much any time I film and he's awake. And it makes me feel a little bit irritated because I'm trying to film my video and we have limited time, and once he's awake, I'm starting to feel guilt that I'm not spending my time with him 100% and I'm not, all the way invested. And then I feel ashamed of myself because, see this train of events here? Because I probably maybe didn't use my time effectively enough while he was napping, and I'm like, gosh, Kate. And you can see how quickly we can berate ourselves because of all of the labeling and judging and diagnosing that we've done our whole lives and that has been done to us. So my feeling of irritation is coming from my need to film my video and be with my son. And the fourth step is to simply make a very clear, specific request. And it doesn't have to sound robotic, like the example, Donovan, I see that you're touching the tripod, and when you do that, it makes me feel irritated because I need to film my video, and I also want to spend time with you. And the quicker I finish my video, the quicker we can spend time together. Will you please not touch the tripod? The reason that this works and it doesn't sound too crazy is because the other person, like us, does have an empathetic, compassionate nature. And when you express yourself without diagnosing the other person, Donovan, you're annoying for touching the tripod. It hurts to even say that. Or, in general, just forgetting about the need at hand, what you actually need, why you're actually bothered. What's most ironic to me is that when I notice myself getting upset and defensive, it's usually because the person that has hurt my feelings, or my ego in this case, or brought up insecurities that I already might have had. They're usually people that I really feel so connected to, and I desperately want love from them. It's just so odd to me and against our nature that what we do to heal that connection is disconnect, defend, attack, and really rupture our relationship, and sometimes in ways that are very hard to repair and heal from. When we refrain from doing those things and just express what it is that we need in a very sincere and vulnerable way, our needs usually get met. We don't hurt anybody in the process. And even if somebody, let's say, is trying to hurt us, we can see where it's coming from. We can see what need it is that isn't being met in their case and try to help them, which in turn helps us feel fulfilled. I highly recommend reading this book or watching some of his lectures on YouTube to get a better understanding, but obviously I just wanted to cover the basics today. The reasoning behind this wonderful ideology, obviously the 4 steps that you should incorporate. The book itself is going to take you through how to apply these to different situations. Sometimes I'm like, well, goodness gracious, Dr. Marshal Rosenberg, you can't talk to people like that. You're gonna sound like an imbecile. However, the principles there are just so valid. They make such perfect sense, and you can apply them in a way that doesn't sound so stiff and rigid and, I guess, robotic in a way. Really, to me, the reason it's so effective and so important to share is because it does bring awareness to how we respond and why we are responding in a particular way that might not be so pretty. For example, just now, me being frustrated about Donovan constantly moving my tripod. Bringing awareness to my need to be with him, it makes such a big difference in how I respond to him. Because I know that I'm really frustrated because I feel so much guilt anytime I'm not fully invested with him. Where that guilt comes from, it's a whole array of different sources, but that's really what it is. I just want to be with him, and him touching that makes this process longer, and I just want to be an invested mom. I don't want to be doing this while he's awake. And I think you can apply that same kind of principle to really any of your interactions that you're having with somebody where you might feel frustrated or irritated by them. And then after applying this practice, sit back and say, oh my gosh, the one thing that I want most is to connect with this person, to feel loved by them, to feel appreciated or whatever. And those are feelings, and you'll get deeper into this when you read this book and obviously you watch the lectures, but I think you understand what I'm trying to convey here. So check out Dr. Rosenberg. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to hear if this is something that you want to start practicing yourself. It has been a tremendous help for me, and I wish I would have read it a long time ago. This has been a helpful, relevant tool for really anybody in any circumstance: business relationships, marriages, partnerships, the parent-child relationship, relationships between families, parents and children, friends, the list goes on and on. So I hope that it brings some value to you and your household, and in general just gives you some peace of mind. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment in the comments section below of any questions that you might have regarding nonviolent communication, anything you want to add regarding nonviolent communication, and just in general what you want to see next, what you liked about this video. Blah blah blah. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell for new videos every Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the US. Baby Luga. And follow me on Instagram at @TheMellowMama to see more daily goings on in Donovan and I's life and more organic teaching moments when they come up. Anyway, that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.